What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We've got my wonderful parents here with us, and we're going to be sharing a very special story. It has been quite the journey. We'll be sharing a story about my dad's journey battling cancer. And I know a lot of people can resonate with this story. I'm sure everyone knows someone, a relative, a family member, even a colleague who may have gone through this experience. You know, it's not a happy experience, it's been a challenge, but we're here to share our journey. God has brought us thus far, and we will share with you guys his journey.
Right.
Tell us about how it began. Bugs. Sorry guys, we're in the middle of nowhere. Not nowhere, but it feels like nowhere. As you can see, we're surrounded by trees. Pretty serene, but with the serenity comes bugs. So yeah, bear with us. So yeah, Dad, tell us about how this began. When did you first find out?
Well, it happened in England. We had migrated to England a few years before, and in 2011, my wife Bev, she recognized that I had some enlarged lymph nodes around my neck area. And that day I was actually shaving in the mirror, and she grew a bit suspicious about it. So she said, I think this thing looks a bit unusual, and you may have to get it checked out. But with some men, it's delayed reaction, and I am one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided, with a little bit of anxiety, I decided, I'm going to leave this for a bit. But the following week, they were still there. The enlarged lymph nodes, the enlarged areas of my neck were still there. And they seemed to have gotten larger. So she got a bit more concerned, and she decided, you really need to have this looked at. She insisted. Like with most women and a lot of wives, I can't say most women, some wives, she's very caring, very concerned individual, as you will know from your own experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, so I did. I worked in a skin clinic, and I asked one of the doctors there to have a look at it for me, and he straight away said, when he looked at me, it was the most frightening experience I've ever had.
So before we go further, I must say you must be super observant to just happen to come across the lumps. You just noticed out of the blue, or?
Well, I'm not super observant, but he's very thin, and it's obvious if you see a lump under somebody's neck. He doesn't have double chin, and that's what my expression. You don't have any fat. How could you have double chin? What's going on there? And then the lumps were identified. So it wasn't super observant.
Okay.
It was obvious to me. And I'm a nurse, so I think my intuition as a nurse comes out at times, and that I'm thinking was one of the occasions that it did.
Okay. So what was the next step after you noticed? You mentioned you saw one of the doctors?
Yeah, I did. I spoke to one of the doctors who worked by us. He did a casual examination. He's not qualified in that area.
Right.
But out of concern, I asked him to, just have a look and tell me what his thoughts were. Straight away, his reactions were like, I have never seen that reaction on him before.
Wow.
He stood still, and he looked at me, because he started a head examination. Normally, if you're feeling enlarged lymph nodes, they start like around the neck area and they go down.
Yeah.
go down the body area. So that's what he did. And he looked at me, he glanced away, he looked at me, and he said, you need to have this looked at straight away. And from then, for me, it was like panic mode stepped in. You know, well, obviously I went home and I told Bev about it, and she said, you know what, we have to take some steps. So I went to my GP, got a referral from him to see the oncologist at the because I didn't want to wait.
Right.
I felt it needed some looking into. Well, she was really persistent about it.
Yeah.
You know, and from there, after the referral came, the doctor saw me in a short period of time, and they ordered a CT scan within a couple of weeks. When the CT scan referral results came back, she said, you know what, we need to see you straight away in clinic. There's no delay at all.
Okay, and I remember before he got the referral, what had happened?
Well, he had gone to the family doctor, and the family doctor referred him for lumps and bumps. And I said, this is not any lumps and bumps. You need proper investigations. You need to go back to the family doctor and let him refer you to the correct people that he got. But honestly speaking, from my nursing experience, I'm an RN, as I said, I knew it was what they diagnosed him as because of the signs and symptoms that he was exhibiting. So they did, and it was diagnosed.
So I guess for those of you out there who are not sure, I would, you know, from Dad's experience, I would recommend always, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to go the extra mile to get the checks.
Of course.
Instead of, you know, sometimes taking the word for what it is from the doctors. I know we respect doctors as well. We don't have anything against doctors. But, you know, human nature, we make mistakes, right? And it's always good, if you're unsure, just go the extra mile. If he didn't push, you know, he wouldn't be here today. If Mom didn't push, sorry, for him to push to get the referral, just to make sure, he wouldn't have been here today. So, yeah. So after you got the referral, you got the CT scan, take us through what happened after that.
Yeah, we had within a week's time, we got the results back from the CT scan. It was an urgent scan, so the doctor saw me. She said, "I need to see you straight away." When I went in, the results said something like it was a grade 3A, stage 4. It was a moderate growing. Enlarged lymph nodes, you know, and what terrified me was the fact that the lymph nodes were everywhere. They were along my jawline area, along my what we call mediastinal area, or along the rib cage, central rib cage going down. In my stomach I had my lungs, and under my arms, all along my arms, as well as in my
groin
my groin area as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so 4% of my bone area was also affected by it as well.
So for those who don't know, how many stages are there in cancer?
There's 1 to 5.
1 to 5. So you were stage 4.
And the 4 is because it was spreading to other areas. It just wasn't in the lymphatic system. It had gone to his lungs, it had gone to his bowels, it had gone to his bones. So it wasn't in one isolated area. So that's why they said it's stage 4.
Okay, so they had referred you by this point. So let's go back to how you felt. What was going through your mind at the time because you did the referral. They said it was, you need to, you know, move urgently.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind at this point?
We went in to see the oncologist that day, and I remember sitting, you know, she said, you know, this is the case. it's quite serious. We have to act now. But I remember sitting there and just listening, and I was hearing nothing. You know, it was like, for me, it was like a death sentence. I just could not see any way out of it.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I remember we had left the office there, the doctor's office, and we were heading home. Bev was driving, and I sat there in the car, and there was just nothing going through my mind except what I just heard.
It's like you were in a state of shock, sort of.
Really shocked. Really shocked. Unbelief. This thing was really happening to me. Because what made it even more, what should I say, what made it even worse was the fact that we had just, we had a very close friend of ours who was actually going through chemotherapy treatment. And I remember leaving the hospital one night after we had seen her, and I was asking myself, who is going to be next?
Wow.
So it was very chaotic.
Yeah.
A lot of thoughts going through my mind and just wondering, you know, am I going to die now?
Wow. Just wondered how you, Mum, felt because you accompanied Dad to the doctor, right? How did you feel when you got that news as well?
Well, as I said before, I sort of knew what it was. It was just confirmation that I had to get, you know. So she confirmed it, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, as the expression says. But I was anxious. I was fearful. That week I went to work driving every day with tears flowing down my eyes because thinking that he will die. That's the ultimate outcome. And then after that week I said, look, Beverly, get yourself together. Fear is one thing, but you've got to address situations face on. So I started as a Christian. My Christian hat came back on. Maybe I'd lost it for a bit. And I started to pray and ask God, what shall we do? Where are we going from here, you know?
And I think sorry to interrupt, I think that's important for those listening as well. It's okay to feel those emotions. The emotions of fear, the emotions of, it could be anxiety. You know, it's okay, and acknowledge those feelings when you're going through the process. I know you said your Christian hat came off, but God understands. You know, I believe God understands how we feel, and He understands when we fall, when we feel that low feeling. He understands completely, and He meets us where we are. Of course. You know? Yeah, sorry. Just had to throw that in there. It's so important
Yes, it is.
for viewers to understand and to feel comfortable in their feelings.
Yes. And I don't think it's about rushing into anything. You've got time to think. Many times when you're diagnosed with cancer, you think, oh, this is it. I've got to go and make that decision one time. So when I sat with him, I said, okay, what do you want to do? You know, we had to come face to face with it. What do you want to do? And he just said, Beverly, I do not want to do what our friend is doing because she's not doing very well, and I would like to see if there is another way. I said, my goodness, because I don't know of any other way right now, but we could look it up, you know. And then I started to search the internet, do a lot of research, and then hope came. Because fear was there, but hope came. And when hope came, I said, thank you, Lord. At least where there is hope, there is something to look forward to and something to work towards. So that's where I went.
Okay.
You know, hopeful environment, my mind changed, my thinking patterns changed, and I just started to focus on natural treatments that, as far as I believe, God has created for our bodies. If somebody creates a Mercedes-Benz, they'll create the parts for it, and the same thing with God. I believe He created our bodies, and nature is for us. You know, where we are right now, the food He's provided for us, the environment, everything is there for us. It's up to us to go seek after it and use it.
I know diet plays a big role in a lot of diseases, but stress is something that we so often overlook, you know, and that, you know, as I've done some reading, and it talks about raising the cortisol levels in your body is detrimental to your health, basically. So, and you said you took on a lot of stress.
I did.
So
I did.
that had a big impact on causing, contributing to the cancer.
Major impact.
Yeah. So, Dad said he didn't want to do the chemo. What were some of the natural treatments that you researched and found?
Okay, so before we go there, I would say to our viewers that this is no way an advice for you all who are looking on. Each individual have different cancers, and cancers respond differently. So this is what our experience was. This is no recommendation for you, but this is what we have done. Because of his choice, I said I would support you. Whatever decision you make, I will support you. So I started to do my research. And I went through there's a mnemonic called New Start. N is for nutrition, E is for exercise, W for water, S for sunshine, T for temperance, A for air, when we think about air, fresh air, R for rest, T for Thanksgiving. And we believe in God, so of course, each of them have their own importance. None is more important than the other, but he emphasized on nutrition. So he changed his dietary practices significantly. Eating 80% raw, which included juicing. He was juicing over a liter of juice every day. And
yeah, we've got some juice right here. It's not a liter, but
that's some of it.
That's some of it, yeah.
That's 250 mils. So he had already 750 mils. He had over nearly a liter already. Yeah. So this is the last one that he has to have. So juicing was one of them. Increasing the salads, making broccoli sprouts and whatever sprouts. We did it on our own at home. Stopping the meat, of course, stopping sugars, no fizzy pops. All of the things that we were using significantly had to be natural, no processed things. And I know that's our go-to. Most of us we like the packaged things because it's quicker, but quicker does not necessarily mean better, because when we have those processed things, all the nutrients are removed. When we have the natural stuff, we got the enzymes, we got the vitamins, we got all the nutrients and the minerals that our body needs. And as far as I'm concerned, when your immune system has been depressed, anything you have the potential of getting, including cancers. If you are not eating properly, you will definitely have that potential of getting cancer. So he had his nutrition. He also was starting to use herbs, because herbs is something that many of us don't know much about, but it has its significance in his life. And of course, that time he used podiaco, echinacea, and different types of herbs. And it did its job. Water, he never used to drink any water at all. Absolutely none. All he drank was juices that was mixed with sugar. Of course, sugar is not good for you either. It carries up your blood sugar, and of course it potentiates infections and bacteria coming and growing in your system. Exercise, again, that wasn't part of his routine. He started exercising. When you exercise, what do you breathe? You breathe in fresh air, and fresh air is also part what we need. Open the windows at night if it's safe to do so. Get the fresh air coming into the house, Thanksgiving, having that spirit of thankfulness. I know sometimes we live in a stressful environment. That is true. But we can always find at least one thing each day to thank God for. I thank God. Maybe you have somebody else, the viewers have someone else to thank, but I thank God every day that I wake up and before I go to bed about so many things that has happened in my life. Rest. How many hours of sleep was he getting? He only used to sleep about maybe 4 or 5 hours, because he used to look at television until about midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, come to bed, get up at 6 and go on again. 4 hours of sleep is not necessary for the body to recuperate. The body needs at least, it depends on who you are, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, restful sleep, in order to recuperate and regenerate and, get the cells get going there again. Temperance, be temperate in all things. You can't overdo it. He says he was stressing. We underestimate the effects of stress. Stress does so many things that we don't even know about. The research is ongoing as to the effects of stress on our bodies. So these are some of the things we took into consideration and worked on. And the witness is here. He is here because of some of those things. And of course, God's mercies and grace have allowed us to be here now.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, he was diagnosed with cancer in 2011, and we're in 2020 right now. So, 9 years, stage 4 cancer, still alive today, still going through the process. But a lot of the things Mom just emphasized really contributed to him getting through, that lymphoma. Okay, so after you implemented all those, the natural treatments, at what point did you realize that it was working?
Okay. Well, he didn't have any scans or anything soon after. So it was about 3 months after, because he had a very large lump, 2 lumps on his arms here, it just disappeared. After 3 months, those lumps just was not visible and not palpable anymore.
Wow.
So that told me, oh yes, whatever is being done is working. So that was a bit of a motivation for me to continue doing what I'm doing. And then he went and he had a scan 6 months after. And then
This scan revealed that more than 50% of the lymph nodes had actually gone.
Wow. Praise be to God.
Yes, certainly. I think what happened, the experience pushed me closer to God.
Okay, so what was the response of the doctors after they saw the results? They saw lymph nodes were decreasing in size, going back to normal. What was their response?
She was quite happy with what was taking place. It meant that I wasn't going down the slippery slope. And that was my opportunity then to ask her just to extend the period of time in which I could have carried on doing what I was doing.
The lumps were decreasing. What happened after then?
Okay, he continued his treatment while the lumps continued to decrease in size, and then we moved country. At that time we were in England, then we came to Canada.
Okay.
So we had to follow up from there.
So this will be the end of part 1. We will continue part 2, talking about the journey, battling cancer, now in Canada after we move, and how things varied, work, different environment, trying to find jobs, and all these other factors which impacted his life and our lives as a whole family. So we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Okay guys, please like, share and subscribe if this video resonates with you. We look forward to seeing you on part 2.